It's good. I mean, it's not in the best state right now, but I mean, not many people are seeing it, so it's fine. I'm just waiting until I can get a haircut once this is over.
That's a good way to start. We're live now, episode 5 of Rewatchables. I will also share my hair. I've been growing it out. I think it's the longest it's been in about 20 years, just for fun. How about you, Mark? You said you just manscaped earlier. What's that about?
Yeah, so got the old clippers out and just went whoosh.
No, Mark looked like he secretly had a haircut somewhere. You gotta tell me, man.
For that one day they kept the barbershop open, quickly ran in and got it done and came back running out.
You gotta hook us up, man. I'll show you mine too.
Let me do this, guys, before we get into it. Let's introduce to everyone watching. First of all, thanks for tuning in. This is episode 5 of SSL Rewatchables. For those of you guys who haven't watched, we're basically bringing back some old games from the league that we love, that we all participate in. So maybe you haven't played in it. Maybe there's some people that are watching that have just kind of heard of SSL and kind of want to see what it's all about. We have a couple guys from this game that we're going to be reviewing today. First of all, we have up top Mark Prabha from Bandwagon. Say hello, Mark.
Hello, everybody.
And we also have the young and volatile and explosive Mr. Jackson Lagerway from ISKL Panthers. Say hello, Jackson.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, with me as always, Isaac Go. I am Rezhan, and yeah, let's get started, guys. First of all, how are you guys doing with this lockdown? Jackson, are you holding up okay? Are you guys still in class and stuff?
Yeah, we have online classes right now, but I mean, it's only for the beginning of the day. The rest of the day is just kind of sitting around. It's getting kind of boring now.
Okay. Are you keeping in shape? Are you able to shoot around or dribble or work out at all?
Not really. I mean, I try to work out, but I'm getting a bit lazy. So let's hope that I get back in shape after dance.
You're what, 17, 18?
18.
18. Like, Mark, we know this. Like, that doesn't even matter. You could sit around at 18 for 2 months and it won't affect you.
All three of us had the same reaction.
Yeah, you two guys. Give us 2 hours and we suddenly put on like 10 pounds. How about you, Mark? How are you holding up?
Yeah, it's definitely testing the mental stability of a lot of us, being cooped up in the condo the whole time, gym closed, pool closed, everything's just it's just nuts, man. So my weekly routine, like the highlight of my week, is actually going to get groceries so I can actually get out of the house, It's definitely been testing.
Yeah, you were into martial arts for a little bit there before basketball, right? So I'm sure you have like some at-home workout stuff that I don't know if you're doing it, at least you know what to do, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do at home, like in terms of shadow boxing, a lot of body weight workout and stuff like that. But with Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, you actually need either a partner to do Jiu-Jitsu with, or you actually need like a punching bag to create that resistance. But so for now, we just got to suffice with body weight workout from YouTube.
I hear you. All right, so let's get into it. So for you guys that are tuning in, what we're going to review today or rewatch today is what we're calling The Shot, ISKL versus Bandwagon Part 2. Bandwagon, which I'm on as well, just for everyone that's tuning in out there. We have now played ISKL 3 times, 3-0. And this is the second game here, which I think was the most intense, most dramatic, and we call it The Shot in kind of honor of, right now we're honoring some of the MJ stuff, the documentary that's out, and so this is our version of The Shot as well, which we'll get into. Shane hitting a big shot, but just to set the table a little bit, this was last season, SSL 11. And this was the round of 16. And this season, we played 4 regular season games and then straight to the playoffs. And so this was a winner go home situation. And the winner would go to the quarterfinals. In this game, Yannick had a big game. He had 15 points for ISKL. Hugh as well, 11 points, 15 rebounds. Ethan played well. He fouled out late, though. But Jackson, you and Reeve, I understand, coming into the game were either injured or you were on a time restriction? What do you?
So
yeah.
I was on a. That was my first game back actually because I played one SSL game in the beginning, and then after that, my back started to flare up, and it got pretty bad. So I had to rest for like 3 weeks or so. So I was on some limited minutes this game, and I was a bit out of shape as well.
Gotcha. Okay, and Reeve, do you remember what was Reeve Woodward?
Yeah.
What his situation was?
I mean, I think if I'm not, I don't know if it was still his ACL at that time. It might have been bugging him again, or I think it was probably his ACL bugging him. So,
gotcha. Okay, and then from the Bandwagon side, Rowan, played his lone season with Bandwagon. Hopefully, we get him back, Mark. But this game, he had 23 and 8. Rami came in with the big 12 rebounds. Edmund second in scoring with 14, and Shane, who we'll talk about a lot later on, he had 9 points, 5 rebounds, and critical from our side, from Bandwagon side, no Matt, no Elwin, who was our ball handler, no Nellis, and no Pet as well, who you see on the sideline. He was injured as well. So let's start with you as the game is going here. And again, if you guys want to stop and point anything out, we can do that as well. We have some topics that we're going to hit as we go along. But Mark, just overall, what do you remember going into this game as we faced them the second time?
Well, definitely, physical. As you mentioned, the ISKL team is a very young team. It's probably one of the youngest teams next to Atlas Ballers in the Stat Sports League. I think the average age of that squad is like probably 17, 18 years old. So youth was definitely on their side. A couple of the guys from Bandwagon are definitely pushing the senior citizen category in terms of basketball playing time. We're counting down our days, right? So it's probably one of the other reasons why we're so bummed out with this MCO. It's like we don't have much playing time left in us, and now this has happened. But it's a good level of competition on this because I would like to think that both teams play a decent level of organized basketball. So it's just not two teams just facing each other and just playing like on a Sunday pickup session where we're just throwing the ball around and hopefully it gets into make a score. We can see a lot of set plays. You can see a lot of decent ball handling and passing. Chemistry of both the teams is fantastic. They both seem to know where each other are most of the time. But just sometimes you just get an unfavorable ring, and just some of the shots that you were making maybe in last week's game is just not dropping for you at all.
Let me ask Jackson something about that. As they start off pretty good here, Jackson hit a 3, and then Yannick after that as well. You guys try. I don't know if you remember. You guys pressed us early, and I think to Mark's point, I think Coach West, I'm sure, was aware, like, hey, the advantage you guys have here against us would be your youth and your speed and all that, right? So, what do you guys remember coming into it, Jackson?
Well, I think that when we go into any of these men's league games, I think we're just trying to really outrun the older guys because, like you were talking about, we have youth on our side. So I think we're just trying to really just bring the energy to the floor every time we play. And I think that for this game, we understood the importance of it. So we were making sure that we were executing our plays properly and that we are managing the defense well because we knew that you guys ran quite a few plays, and we just wanted to make sure that we were every single one of us were switched on and we're ready to play. So that was the one main thing.
Yeah, you could definitely see that. Like you would take advantage on the break, immediately, but you guys are very disciplined to get into that half court set, whether it was the motion or otherwise as well. It was pretty impressive to see. I know from the other side. Seeing you guys, it was always, and Mark, you can attest to, it's always a very mental battle with you guys as well, because you guys are disciplined and and then of course having to deal with these young legs running up and down. But for us, it was like we got to like hunker down as well, and you can see in this game too, it becomes like a real grind, for each possession. Let me ask Jackson. So one of the topics we want to talk about is sort of the approach to the game, but also game day motivations. You got Mark here. How old are you now, Mark?
38.
38. I'm 36. Isaac, you're 28. Is that right?
28.
and you got Jackson, who's 18. So 10 years difference. We got a few different generations of ball players here, which is kind of an interesting kind of, I think, discussion to have. I'm curious, Jackson, you being the youngest here, what is the nowadays for you guys? Do you guys play a lot of pickup ball? Do you guys kind of spend a lot of time outside of practice playing basketball? And what is it like? Are you guys really competitive, or is it kind of just getting a sweat kind of thing?
I think, well, we have the Tuesday night basketball hosted at our school, which is basically pickup, but I don't really know any places, or none of my friends really know any places outside of like our community to play pickup basketball. But when I was younger, especially when I used to live in Singapore, so I used to play like back in 8th grade, back in 7th grade. I used to go out to a pickup basketball hoop and just play against men out there. So I think that really developed my confidence, because back then I was pretty small, and I think I lacked confidence. But just over time, after I just kept grinding and playing with them, it built my confidence. And I think also just my competitiveness just allowed it to, like, my competitiveness drove me as well to get better.
Right. That's great. So you're in 8th grade and you're playing full court basketball with grown or half court, or?
A bit of both. It was like some, because there were different spots. So yeah, some of them were full court, some of them were half.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so what is like, so it's just that Tuesday run where you're playing against guys your age right now. So you're playing less now than you were at 14, 15.
Yeah, for sure. I used to play a lot more, actually.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just like I'm being a bit more overwhelmed with work and things like that. So I'm not having as much time. And back when I was younger in 8th and 7th grade, I used to train a lot more than I do now. But it got to a point where my back got injured. So that's been an injury that's just been looming over me, and it won't completely heal. So I just have to maintain it and not overwork it.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah. I hope you're taking care of that now. But I mean, before our current season ended, you were averaging, I think, 25 points a game. So I think your back is doing okay so far. But like Mark and Isaac, again, the reason I bring it up, I feel like maybe in our generation, maybe there was less homework, less work. Maybe there's fewer options of other stuff to do. I mean, I can't imagine being 17, 15, 16, 17 now. Like, there's just so many other things that are options to do besides spend 4 or 5 hours, on the basketball court. What do you remember, Mark, coming up, and what do you notice now, anyway, as far as like what the youth are doing basketball wise?
Well, definitely, there's definitely more opportunity for these guys to play pickup ball on a daily basis, or even just, with the amount of training programs that they have out there. You're talking about a lot of these new academies that are coming up.
Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt you. What I meant was not even those kinds of options. I'm talking about, like, you can stay home and watch Netflix all day. You can play PlayStation online with people. Like, we didn't really have that 20 years ago, and I don't know that I would be playing that much basketball, to be honest, if I was 15 right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely would say that with technology being the way it is right now, if I was 16 years old, there would be a hell of a lot more options, to be within the four corners of your house, as opposed to being out there and getting socially active and physically active. I think the main difference here now is just the fact that the abundance of technology that's available to just everybody, right? So if that was me during my time, I'd hard to say if I would have even stuck with basketball or anything like physical. This is one of the reasons why.
It's just curious to see, and I don't. You haven't what?
It's one of the reasons why I haven't bought the new PS4.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just curious, like how that evolution is, and I'm reminded a lot about it now that this Last Dance documentary is back, and seeing the 90s basketball, and the intensity of competition and all that. And this game I thought was a nice throwback, because there's a little trash talking going on. There is competition. So I know it's in you guys, Jackson. I just don't see it that much in the youth these days compared to I guess when we were coming up. And I know I sound like an old man, talking about back in my day and all that, but do you guys remember like some of that? Did you guys have like a chip on your shoulder? Were you guys like out to get Bandwagon, or is it just another game?
I mean, not necessarily out with a chip on our shoulder, but I think that definitely my teammates, they definitely bring intensity when they play. And I think that's a lot of that's also thanks to Coach Pike, because he really pushes us. He's a great coach, and he makes sure that there's competition like with essentially any drill that we're doing. So that just continues to build us, especially the younger guys, where it's important to just build that foundation of competitiveness and intensity first.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it really is a skill, you kind of take it for granted. It's something you have to develop as well. We're going to move on now. There's a section we call youth versus experience here. And Isaac has a few time codes that or timestamps we're going to jump to here. And we're going to talk a little bit about, kind of the approach from the younger ISKL and then the more veteran, I guess, Bandwagon, as Mark checks in here. But we're going to jump around a little bit. Isaac, why don't you take it away? Where do you want us to take a look?
Okay, let's see. So youth versus experience. I think we wanted to talk about Bandwagon versus ISKL, right? So Jackson, do you remember like what was the game plan going up against this Bandwagon? So knowing that this is the game where winner will proceed further to the quarterfinals. So basically, it's win or go home for both teams, right? And what was the game plan for the ISKL Panthers coming up all the way to this stage?
I think we ran our same game plan. We just stuck with what we were used to. But I think also one important thing that we had to remember was to always stay composed, because in times like these, a lot of people crack under pressure, and I think that we emphasize staying composed and making sure that we're running things properly, and to avoid making any mistakes or just giving up bad possessions. So I think that was an important aspect of this game, was just being composed and taking our time and being patient while running the offense.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, Isaac, you had a timestamp at 9:35 that you wanted to look at?
Yeah, 9:30. Producer, can we move to 9:35 to 9?
What and what's
9:35?
What are we watching here?
Horns, looks like.
Yeah. So this is more to Bandwagon actually. So as you can see, meaning when you say trying to focus on the game, right, Jackson, and you have all this kind of game plan going on, right? I mean, sometimes when we're on the court, things can get like out of hand and stuff like that. And it happens so frequent for ISKL in this game. How do you, I mean, as a youth right now playing, right? And with there's so many like things going on at the same time when you guys play ball, I was wondering, how does youth maintain like the focus on the game? Because as you can see, Dre, sorry if you can repeat that 9:35 again, right? So it's a horns play, all right. Edmund from Bandwagon managed to dribble off the screen that he gets, and then it was a kick out. It was a kick out to an open 3-point at the side there, the baseline, and then it's an air ball where it's supposed to be a defensive rebound instead. But the passer, the one that kicks out, Edmund, he was lingering around the under basket, and then just so happened that Aaron shot an air ball, and then the ball went back to Edmund, like just like that, and then he got the easy bucket. So, I mean, that should have been a easy defensive rebound. So, I guess like you guys didn't anticipate that it was gonna be an air ball and stuff like that, or just so happened that the box out wasn't there for Edmund from Bandwagon to get back to get back the team offensive rebound and the putback. So, Just want to know, like, what do you guys do for like focus? Is it important to do a proper warm up? Get into the zone or something like that.
Yeah, I think warming up is an important part. So before the game, just making sure that we're locked into the game, and that's the one thing that we're focusing on, because I think a huge part of basketball is just the mental side of things. Because I mean, you can physically perform, but if you aren't mentally locked into the game and you are locked into every position and possession and switched on, then you can give up bad baskets and bad like rebounds, as we saw right there, where we missed the box out, which was quite easy. But I think at times that's where we see like the lack of experience sort of kick in, because we're still young and we're still like progressing. So we still need time to really establish that that mentality and being able to switch on all the time. And I think that that's just a small issue with some of us younger guys, because we sometimes we aren't too. There's some possessions where we lack that intensity or things like that. So.
Yeah, if I can jump in there, I would say that there's a lot of different looks maybe that you guys haven't seen yet, or aren't as familiar with as an entire team. Some guys maybe are less, have played fewer, had fewer reps and that sort of thing. I think also our team actually is a good matchup for you guys because of that play, especially right on a kick out. There's only a couple guys on our team that can hit that shot, and Aaron is not that guy. So we were able, that's not the only corner three that we attempted even early on, but we just weren't hitting them. Whereas you guys hit two early on. So I think there's a little bit of that. I think on youth and experience, Dre, if we can also jump to the 19-minute mark, I think this for me kind of shows youth versus experience. And it's early on in the game, but there's a lot of it that happens later on. Essentially on this play, you will see the definition of youth versus experience here. So let's just watch this. You got a drive. You got Hugh with a rebound. You got Nadir with I think it is another rebound. Then a miss, another rebound, and then Hugh with another rebound. So, and it's not like you guys are that much bigger there. I mean, I know Mark wasn't in at that point. He's one of our biggest guys. I know, and Ida wasn't there, but partially a lot of it is me. And you see Shane in the corner there; he's like cramping, just walking down the court. I think there's a lot of that, and you guys kept it, pushing on that. Mark, what do you remember about that? I know I look at us like we're walking back to the bench on the timeout. Like, what do you remember about this, and what we talk about a lot when we're the older team?
Yeah, I definitely, if I can, I'd like to say it's one of the bandwagon catchphrases. Get a rebound, Blue. The courtesy of Coach Han. But that day, we, as Han mentioned, we had Ped, who was injured, so he sat on the sidelines and kind of assumed the coaching type role from the side, and he was screaming about us trying to get a rebound. But I think with that particular play, it was just the fact that I think fatigue was starting to set in early to us, because again, ISKL is a young team that will just run you from start to end. So I think the fatigue factor was starting to get in with us, and that coupled with the fact that we weren't in the right position on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correct, right. So we weren't in the right position at the time to even just corral a rebound, and I think that definitely was an aspect of our game that we all looked at, and when we went for the next game, we were trying to make sure that we were properly boxing guys out, and trying to corral those loose balls and not give teams a second chance opportunity.
I need to ask Jackson. There's just thinking about that fatigue, and I know, like for us, Mark, our problem a lot of time is when we do have fatigue, we tend to complain to the refs, and we get tired, and we kind of like whine a little bit just because we need some calls and all that kind of stuff. And but in this game, I remember some of the I guess the emotion for us worked in our favor. And Jackson, there's a point in the game where I was talking some trash. I kind of just turned to your bench. I think you were on the court at the time. Dre, if you want to go to 102-25, it's a little bit later, and And I'm okay with all the guys on the team, and I know Coach Pike well. And just at this point, I don't know why I get frustrated. I'm just yelling at the bench because there were guys talking trash to me the whole time, saying I couldn't dribble. Whether or not it was correct is besides the point. But
no, I remember what you said to me because I asked you after the game, like, what were you talking about that you got so mad or pissed, and you said that somebody from the bench said that you can't shoot or something like that, and then
can't dribble.
Yeah, can dribble or can shoot or something like that, and then you hit the tree and you got all fired up.
So Jackson, just verify, did that happen or not? Or am I imagining things?
No, that happened for sure. I remember it clearly. That was like that game had a lot of trash talking from what I remember.
Yeah, and there's a bit at the end as well with Yannick that we're going to go through as well. Yeah. But okay. As long as we have that, and I'm not going crazy. Let's talk really quickly about there's another segment we want to talk about called the future, and this is more again hearing from you, Jackson, because we're really curious, just in general, how things are, in this new generation of basketball, and kind of like what are your aspirations, and how is basketball approached right now? So Isaac, I think you have a couple timestamps you want to jump to and a couple questions.
Yeah, I think I think you can speak for the general of the youth, Jackson. But I'm just curious, like, how far do people like youth nowadays want to go with basketball, or maybe not even basketball, maybe like the sport that they love, or something like that. Usually, how far would they want to take it?
As in, like how, like college basketball things like that.
Yeah, professional. I guess professional being the end goal, right?
I guess the question, Isaac, is it still a dream for kids?
Yeah,
a pro athlete, because there's so many other things to be now, right?
Yeah, I feel like nowadays, especially in places like Southeast Asia, there's only a very select few people that actually want to look to play college basketball after this, because in the US, the level of competition there is just a whole new level. As I experienced over last summer, because here in Southeast Asia, we're sort of we're not exposed as much to that much competition and that many opportunities for basketball past high school. So I think most kids just look to play in high school and look to play for fun, and then the kids that want to take it further are the ones that usually go to the US or other foreign countries to go and practice and get exposure at camps and things like that.
And the ones that have that exposure, like you do, right? You went to Global Squad last year, and even ATB on some level, at least we got to bring some coaches in here. You got to experience that. So you think it's a lack of like kind of knowing that it's an option or wanting that?
Yeah, and I just don't think basketball and sports in general has developed to a point, like it's such a culture in the US. It's a part of their lives, and so I feel like that really helps establish that environment for people to really pursue their goals. And for me, I actually personally, in 9th and 10th grade, before 9th and 10th grade, I wanted to pursue college basketball, but then after like 9th and 10th grade, I looked at the US and I looked at the players there, and like I never went to play there, but I just sort of gave up on that dream in a way. And in 11th grade, when I moved here, I was approached by John Alexander, the person that runs Global Squad, and he actually recommended that I come over to the camp and that I have a chance to play some college basketball if I wanted to. I could get some exposure.
How'd that go your first time around? Did you felt like you could fit in, or they were, a lot better?
Yeah, they're definitely a lot better. Like that, I knew it was going to be like I already expected it to be really good compared to what I was experiencing here. So it was tough when I went there.
But you come back and then it's a whole nother ball game, right? Suddenly the competition here is manageable and you're averaging 25 a game with a bad back, right?
Yeah. It definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah. Mark, what do you notice anything these days with youth sports development? And I know you work with Air Asia. Air Asia does a lot of stuff with soccer primarily or football, but just in general, there's a lot of support for youth development. Do you see anything that is lacking? And I know that we've talked offline about that kind of stuff and how terrible it is. But what do you see? What's your opinion on youth development here? Or even what they're doing, just spending their time.
Yeah, on the subject of youth development here, I mean, of course, if you're going to compare it with, countries like the US, I mean, that's just miles apart, right? You've got a totally different level over there. And even, closer other Southeast Asian countries. I mean, my work actually takes me to the Philippines quite a bit. And, when you look at the regular pickup sessions in the Philippines, I mean, it's amazing to see some of the things that 16, 17-year-olds over there are doing, right? And it's a country that's a huge basketball nation, so they take it really seriously. I think one of the things that's probably been lacking from the Malaysian scene is an ability to have open competition, to have more of these. Well, let's put it this way. When I was growing up, if we had a version of Stat Sports League, I can guarantee you it would have definitely improved the level of basketball amongst the Malaysian community at that age, right? So this old man right here, this old generation right here would have been a different level of player because you had the opportunity to go and compete on a weekend basis against, anyone, basically. Growing up, the only competitions we had was the Nike and the Adidas 3-on-3, and that was like once every 6 months, if that. So, yeah, I think just the fact that right now, with a lot of the competitions that are existing in Kuala Lumpur, it should hopefully boast the next generation of players. Guys like Jackson's age, maybe. With this, they could take the game to an elevated level and maybe make a name for themselves within Asia, and hopefully, who knows, man? Maybe one day the NBA.
For sure. Yeah. Hopefully, Jackson. From all of us, I know we're all rooting for you. Whatever you choose to do with that, and how much further you go with it. We all know your talent. So yeah, and hopefully we can, before you go, we get back on the court here, but it may not be so likely. But let's move on. Now we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Dre, we can go back to the game, and we're gonna actually watch the last bit of the game here. We're gonna start in the fourth quarter. So essentially, up to this point, it's been a back and forth game. I think the biggest lead for Bandwagon at this point's been like 5, maybe, and ISKL's been up double digits a couple times. We're gonna go to 123-42. And we can kind of let it play, and then you guys can comment. We're also going to have the sound on because I think Dre's commentary here is really awesome. Let's watch it, and then if you guys want to say what you want as we go along, let's do it. I'll kind of lay out what happens, and again, any thoughts you guys see here. So we're starting from here is where we get an and one from Q that puts you guys up by 12, I believe.
With the lefty hook over the defense. And
there's a delay in the score or something, but
the quarterfinals, it's within their grasp.
So yeah, on that play, I thought it was really nice because it was a nice pick and roll, and the seal was there. Shane was a little bit late on the help, and I got caught on the backside of the roll. But this is a big play here, and I don't know if we can hear, if we can turn up the volume a little bit, Dre, or I don't know if it's laggy.
Someone wants to take over. Now's the time. Rezan, in and out. Edmund gets the rebound.
And at this point, I'm frustrated. I know that me and Rowan kind of like make eyes at each other. We know that we need to start scoring, and I kind of just throw up a couple shots. But even before that, Dre, your comment was that the Panthers can smell the quarterfinals, and realistically at that point, that's kind of how it was, right? 12 points up, and only I think about 3 minutes left. But I think this is where our experience comes in because Ed is really heady here. Rowan's really heady. And we're trying to get into Warrior again here, but it breaks up because Aaron is out of position. And of course, force something, and then again, this is the youth and experience thing, right? You got, and something Isaac alluded to earlier, not getting that rebound, and we're able to go up with it. Mark, do you remember anything at this point? This the start of this comeback. You're on the bench.
It was looking a bit bleak. I mean, we were shouting out from the side, trying to boost the team morale as it went along. But it was just watching it go one play at a time, and then when the shots like that started to drop, we felt like, hey, we may have a fighting chance, and I think that's where the experience kicked in.
Yeah, definitely the experience. I mean, like, it was also frustrating because I don't know why we waited so long to turn it on. Besides obviously being out of shape and old, and Ed he has got a great read here. Jackson, sorry, buddy, that was not a good not a good play for you there. Turnover and the foul. Did you foul him?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think looking back on it, it looks like he created some contact on you, but Ed made a good read there, and I think at this point Ethan's fouled out, so Justin's playing a lot of points, and Ed is pressuring him a lot there. Aaron's playing great defense on you here too. And I think you're doing the right thing here. You got to force something and get the momentum back. And then we're lucky we get a stop. And then another foul from you there.
2 shots.
Shane, at this point, I think has missed 8 free throws.
Currently.
Isaac, what do you remember anything at this point?
2 of 10.
Yeah, for sure. So the first half,
statistically speaking,
I think me, Dre, and Meng, we were watching, and then we were definitely commenting about the amount of free throws that you guys missed. So just to clear one thing, you guys cannot say anything about my free throw anymore because you guys are just as bad. Okay.
No, we're worse. We're worse.
I mean, to be honest, there are times where you feel like you don't have the best form coming into games, like especially for this one, and to be honest, I mean, there's nothing you can do technically to like fix it. You can't just fix it just like that. Like, okay, second half, I'm gonna make my free throw work. Something like that.
Yeah. There's bad free throws.
Yeah.
The problem with our team is that's every day. But
I mean,
I think what's impressive here is that it's already a 2-point game, and we managed to turn that around quick. Jackson, from your side, what happened there? Do you think it was more you guys losing focus, or was it the pressure we put on?
Both. Free throw percentage.
I think it was a bit of both. Actually, it was just the combination of both, because you guys started to put more pressure on ball handlers coming up the court, and I think just it flustered a lot of us. So I think it just led to quite a few mistakes on our end, and that's those mistakes shouldn't be coming up for us. But at our young age, I think that's a big reason for why we lost this game.
Yeah, and I think for us too is, and I'll speak for myself, and I think the team, and Ed's about to come up with another big deal here again. Going back to that pressure, let's watch this play. And then I come in and I have no lift at all, and I get rejected by Yannick, and he proceeds to talk a lot of trash over my face. I want to get all your guys' feedback on that right there, because I think it's interesting. Because for me, first of all, I think what was interesting is I didn't lose my shit, which I think helped the whole team not lose their shit, which I think ends up winning the game for us, to be honest. Because in any other situation, I think we that's what Bandwagon would end up doing. But Dre, if you want to pause it real quick, I just want to get everyone's input on that sequence. Maybe Mark, you go first. What do you remember when we get the steal, and then I go for the layup? Yannick gets a clean block, and then talks a lot of shit. As Dre comments here, it's the reverse Pippin on Ewing. It's true.
Yeah, I you know what? I remember this like it was yesterday. I actually remember Ped shouting at Yannick, telling Yannick, just play the damn game.
and just again, Yannick, Ped is what, 44?
Yeah, yeah. I have to agree with you. Han. with you maintaining your composure, it basically kept the bench and the rest of the guys on court keeping that composure, because let's face it, you are heart and soul of Bandwagon. You lead the team, so a lot of the team kind of feeds off your energy and feeds off your reactions. So if you're gonna go one way, it has the tendency to just take the entire team that way. And I'm actually very glad you didn't, because it kept the focus on what we had to do, being down at that point, right? We just had to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, and it helped a lot that I had no argument. Like he was a clean block, and then what? I'm gonna whine and say that he's talking trash to me. Like there wasn't much for me to say. But Jackson, what do you remember there?
Yeah, I think at that point, I mean, if it was good that you didn't really do anything back, because I think that again it might have like collapsed your because you guys were so composed at that time. Like none of you guys were really talking trash back to us. So I think, and I was also trying to, I mean, on one side, I feel like Yannick was like someone that was quite good at getting into people's heads, and I think that his intensity was really like something great to have on the court. But then again, I think we should just like after that one play, I think we just have to like forget about it and just look to the next play and just keep pushing ourselves after that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And and a play like that does help you guys too if you can capitalize the other way, right? And Dre, we can play here. I think the next play is where
and the ball.
The next play is where Yannick actually gets a three, but it doesn't go down. So
that was a great block by Yannick.
Again, that ball pressure from Edmund, which is huge.
58 seconds. Yannick puts
right there. I mean, if he hits that kind of turns the game,
Yeah, for sure.
Almost out of bounds. Bandwagon haven't had a chance to regain the lead.
And again, the composure, again, I think as an older team, we kind of know when we need to turn it on, but also we know what reserves we have. And we knew at this point, we had to go get every ball. And I think we used it pretty wisely. Next time down, I believe this is where we get the shot. I'm calling for Warrior. Aaron's in the wrong position. He's not used to playing big. Rolling.
Loose ball. Shane wide open for three. Oh my God! Shane Chung out of a broken play gives Bandwagon the 1 point lead. It is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. 20
All right, we can pause it there, Dre. First of all, I was watching Mark's face as that happened, and like just the way your face lit up, it's like goosebumps. I mean, at our age, like stuff like this. These are the games that we play for, and we don't get a lot of them, like you mentioned earlier, right? And Dre, kudos to you. I know you're we can't hear you right now, but you're helping us produce right now. But awesome play call, and it made the whole moment really awesome. Mark, what are your thoughts on that shot, and then also the reaction of the bench as well?
Yeah, honestly, that would have been at that point in time. That would have been the last thing on our wish list, right? We probably would have just been happy to just corral the ball, set ourselves up, and try and run another play. But very scrappy, very just all over the place. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, we get the Hail Mary shot from Shane, and he just drains that three. The whole bench.
That was only his second shot of the game that he made too.
Yeah, and considering the fact that as you mentioned earlier, Shane was a bit unlike his normal self from the free throw line. Missing about 8 to 9 free throws that game. Right, it's not usually Shane, because he's one of the more consistent shooters in the Bandwagon's lineup. So definitely him being able to shoot that from there. Would we want, or would we push or for anybody else to have taken that shot in that game, no, I think we still would have probably stuck with Shane. And
yeah, he was in the right place, and as as that guy, knowing that he went to the right spot. Isaac, your reaction?
Yeah, like you said, I think Shane was just at the right place at the right time, and also credits to Rowan for giving him that pass, because from the play, right, you can see that the end goal was to give it to somebody or to Shane to come up to the center and shoot, but instead Shane realized that the traffic was in the middle, so he stayed at the corner instead, and then Rowan realizes that, and then he immediately passes the ball to Shane, and he gets that open tree. And during this kind of time, things are definitely meant to be scrappy. I think a lot of last moment plays, not only for this game, like even any other games like outside SSL, things will be scrappy because there's not much time left. Everybody wants to take that quick last shot and stuff like that. But you can see Shane was like taking just another normal tree.
But the difference, Isaac and Dre, if we can play it one more time and we can just mute it and we can talk about it, is the difference is the example we brought up earlier, right? Where this time it was us that got the offensive rebounds, So I think there was a bit of, the old guys kind of knowing what had to happen at this point. And it kind of worked out for us that, that was a crazy pass by me. I don't know. I think got lucky and then, ended up in Rowan's hands and then over to Shane.
It's like the youth versus the experience, right? So the experience know that, what they got to do to come back, and what Shane has to do to carry the team back. He kept his composure. He didn't show any signs of like, oh shit, I'm supposed to drive to the basket and stuff like that. Instead, he just acted like he took a casual.
Look how high Gaia gets up on the bench. But Jackson, from your perspective, you're on the floor. I think the shot basically goes over you. What do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was just chaos. Like everything was on a scramble. Everyone was just running for the ball, and I think, he was, as you guys said, he was in the right place at the right time, and he took the shot just like he was taking any other shot. So I think that was a good way for you guys to end that game.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna look at the very last portion of this. We've got about 5 minutes left here. Let's jump forward. Basically, what happens after this is we get a stop. I missed a couple of free throws. Then we get another stop, and Rowan makes one, but fouls on the loose ball and puts Jackson on the line. So if we can go to 134-16, Dre. Down 2 points. The scoreboard's a bit delayed here, but you guys are down 2, so you got to hit 2 here to tie the game. Let's just watch that, and then the sequence after, we can talk about that. So again, the score is a bit slow. It's actually down 2.
Jackson Lagaway goes to the line for 2 to tie it up. What is going on here?
Well, he has to make them, so.
Yeah, sure. I agree with you. He does have to make them. Has he hit any so far this game? He misses it. He misses his first. All they need to do is box out, or if he does make it, all they need to do is securely inbound the ball and hold on to it.
I'm screaming about that. They miss on purpose. Rowan gets a rebound and fouls one more time. So and you can leave it playing, Dre. Let's just mute it and we can talk and wrap it up here. But Justin ends up getting injured, and Nadir comes in and has to shoot the free throws. He makes one, and then we end up getting the rebound and a little bit of a blunder on our side as well. We could have screwed that up and given you guys another shot, but that essentially is how the game wraps up. And to me, what summarizes it is, that youth and experience, that grind, both teams kind of making big shots down, but also missing a lot of big shots down the stretch. Both teams having, a strong mental will, but a lot of lapses at the same time. So, and that's to me what made this game fun. So let's have some final thoughts from you guys on this game, and then we can wrap it up. So Jackson, why don't you start? What do you remember about the end here, and then just your time during this game in SSL?
Yeah, this game was definitely one of the more intense games that I played at the end, and it was like nobody could really have predicted what happened at the end and how that shot went in, and then we had free throws back to back, and I think that
were you tight for your free throws, or were you relaxed?
I'm usually quite relaxed, but I think before our actual season started, because this was before our actual season started, I think Coach Pike gave me a good routine to do before I shoot free throws, which is repeat it mentally in my head, and I think I needed something like that. I needed to install that into like my game before or earlier on, because I feel like
before you had that routine.
Yeah, because after that I definitely saw an increase in my percentages, and yeah, so that would have been
nice. That's great. That's a great tip. Mark?
Yep.
Yeah, well, what are your final thoughts on this game before we wrap up?
Well, it was definitely an enjoyable game. We pushed us to the limit, tested us as a team, tested individuals on our team. I think good leadership came from the bench. Good, strategy. We managed to hold our own against a very much younger, more energetic, more athletic team. Having said that, I gotta admit this, that 3.0 was a real heartbreaker. It was like a shot right through the heart. You guys played a really good game. I definitely remember being really sore after that game. I was like, God damn, man. So when you realize your age, but yeah, no, it was good. I think I only think bigger and better things will come for the guys in ISKL, because they're so young and they have the ability to test that team chemistry with the stat sports leagues, and I'm pretty sure you guys must absolutely dominate in the international school basketball competitions and any of the other international school competitions that are here in KL. I don't think, coming from an international school myself, I cannot remember seeing talent like that in any of the international schools that are out there, safe being forgotten. But yeah, it was definitely a good game, and hopefully we can have more Bandwagon ISKL duels in the future.
Yeah. Let's try to get back on the court. Everyone be safe. Real quick comment from Ryan Galleri, a former Bandwagon. He says, "Hi, and it was a good thing I wasn't on the team and on the court with you. For sure, I would have egged you on and got you teed up," which has happened multiple times before. So thanks, Ryan, for that. We're going to wrap it up here. We shot for 30, 45 minutes. We're at 52. So again, thanks so much, guys. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do it again. And again, stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks, Han, for having us. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.